Emily had never imagined that quiet could feel so heavy. Her new home was supposed to be a place of healing, a small single-story house in a quiet suburban street lined with maple trees. After her divorce 3 years earlier and her daughter moving to college, she longed for peace. Yet every evening, when the sun dipped behind the rooftops and the sound of children playing faded, the silence wrapped around her like a cold blanket. She told herself she liked it, she needed it, but deep down, she missed conversation, laughter, and the simple company of another human being. The day she moved in, the neighborhood seemed warm enough. People waved, dogs barked, and kids rode bikes down the street. But no one stopped by. Maybe they assumed she wanted to be left alone. Maybe she did. Still, every day she brewed 2 cups of tea out of habit and ended up pouring one down the sink. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October when it happened, the knock. She had just settled on the couch with a book when 3 light taps came at the door. She froze. For a second, she thought she had imagined it. Then came another knock, firmer this time. She set the book aside, brushed her hair back, and went to the door. Standing on her porch was a man holding an umbrella. He looked to be in his mid-40s, with dark blonde hair slightly damp from the drizzle. His jacket was zipped halfway, and his eyes, gray-blue and kind, met hers with a polite uncertainty. "Hi, sorry to bother you," he said with a friendly tone. "I just moved in next door, and my power's out. I was wondering if you might know if it's a neighborhood issue or just me." Emily blinked. "Oh, I'm not sure, but you're welcome to check from here if you'd like." The man smiled. "Thanks, that would help. I'm Daniel, by the way." She stepped aside, letting him enter. The moment he walked in, she noticed the faint smell of rain and cologne, clean and subtle. He checked his phone, muttering about the outage map. Emily tried to recall the last time someone stood in her entryway. It had been months. After a few minutes, they realized it was just his house affected. Emily offered to lend him a flashlight. Daniel laughed softly. "I think I packed one, but I have no idea where." Moving chaos. Emily smiled for the first time that week. "I know the feeling. I still can't find my measuring cups." Daniel chuckled, the sound filling the quiet house like a melody she hadn't realized she missed. When he left, he thanked her sincerely and promised to bring back the flashlight once his power was restored. She told him to take his time, not expecting to see him again soon. But the next day, he was back, this time with a plate of homemade cookies. "I thought I'd repay your kindness," he said. Emily laughed. Cookies are always acceptable repayment. That evening, they talked for nearly 2 hours. He told her about his job in architecture, his love of woodworking, and how he moved there after losing his wife 3 years ago. Emily felt her heart soften. Loss was something they both understood. She shared her own story, her marriage that had faded over time, her daughter in college, and the emptiness that followed. From then on, Daniel would stop by every few days. Sometimes he'd bring groceries, sometimes just conversation. Emily started looking forward to his knocks. Each one broke the quiet and filled her home with something she hadn't felt in a long time, connection. One weekend, Daniel offered to help her fix the porch light that had stopped working. They spent the afternoon together, laughing when the bulb flickered to life after multiple failed attempts. When it finally glowed steady and warm, they both stepped back, smiling like proud children. The sunset stretched golden across the porch, and Emily caught Daniel's reflection in the glass door. He looked content, peaceful. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For reminding me what warmth feels like." He turned to her, his expression gentle. "You reminded me too." Winter came quickly. The nights grew longer, and snow began to blanket the street. Emily spent Christmas alone, or at least, she planned to. But that morning, there was a knock. Daniel stood on her porch again, holding a thermos and wearing a scarf that looked handmade. "I didn't want you to spend the day alone," he said. "I made soup. Hope you don't mind company." Emily's throat tightened as she smiled. Not at all. They ate together, talked about their past holidays, and even laughed about their worst gifts. At one point, as they listened to carols on the radio, Emily realized her loneliness had faded, not vanished completely, but softened, replaced by something gentler. After the holidays, Daniel continued to visit. Sometimes they cooked together, sometimes they just sat quietly, reading separate books but sharing the same space. The silence that once haunted her now felt comforting. It was the silence of understanding, not emptiness. Months passed. Spring returned, and with it, a new lightness. The trees blossomed, and birds returned to her garden. Emily started gardening again, something she had given up years ago. One afternoon, Daniel helped her plant tulips along the walkway. As they worked, Emily realized how much her world had changed since that first knock. She no longer waited for someone to fill her silence. She had learned to live in it, to share it, and to let it grow. Then, one warm April evening, there came another knock. She opened the door to find Daniel standing there, holding a small bunch of daisies. For your garden, he said, smiling. Emily laughed softly. You didn't have to. I know, he replied. But I wanted to. As she placed the flowers in a vase, she glanced around her cozy home, the same house that had once felt too quiet, too large, too empty. Now it felt alive. Daniel stayed for dinner that night. They talked until the stars came out, and when he finally left, Emily stood by the door, watching him walk down the path. She whispered a quiet thank you, to life, to chance, to the unexpected knock that had changed everything. The next morning, she woke to sunlight streaming through her curtains and the sound of birds outside. She made 2 cups of tea, but this time, both cups were used. And from that day on, Emily was never truly alone again.